Man, oh man, what a day it has been. What a start to the week, man. Jason Kelce announces his retirement from the NFL. And I'll just be completely honest. I'm not here to give my own speech. I'm not here to try to top Kelce or whatever, but I'm so fired up and so emotional after watching that speech. I feel like I could run through a wall right now, to be honest with you. That speech right there, in my eyes, was one of the best retirement speeches that I've ever heard. Ever. And in my mind, Jason Kelce now owns two of the top speeches of all time in Philadelphia sports, maybe in sports in general, because that was incredible. I listened to the whole thing. It was almost like 45, 50 minutes. He didn't take any questions, but he went down the list. And I'm sure everybody out there listening to this probably took a break from work or stepped outside the office or whatever you're doing, took some time to listen to this. And if you're not emotional, then I don't know where your pulse is at. But I'm a wreck. I didn't think it would be this hard, but that was brutal. Welcome into A to Z Philly, RB here. I don't want to go over everything. I recommend you go listen to the speech. But I just want to talk about some main things that were said from Jason Kelce and just reflect a bit on him, because let me tell you something. He's going out on top of the game. Literally, he is still the best center in the league, and he could have probably played for 3 more years. And I know it was probably a very tough decision for him and his family, but this guy is going out and it's going to be hard to replicate his success. It's going to be hard for this team to find a way to bring in somebody that will or will produce, I guess, is a better way to say it, as much as he did. So, shout out to Jason Kelce, an absolute legend in this city. He will go down as one of the greatest athletes all time, and we will get into all of it here. Give me your thoughts, your instant reactions, emotions down below in the comments section. Before we jump into some of these amazing quotes, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor of today's video, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up with the code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbook. Sign up today with the bonus code ATOZPA. Get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. First and foremost, man, Jason Kelce is an all-time center. He said it in his speech, some people regard me as one of the greatest centers to ever play. And from going from a 6th-round pick to accomplishing what he did should show everybody out there that no matter what your dream is, no matter what your aspirations are, you can achieve them if you work hard. This guy, I remember watching a documentary where, 6th-round pick, didn't think he was going to do anything. They told him he was fat and slow. He ends up playing 13 years in the league. He ends up starting 193 games. From a 6th-round pick to 6 first-team All-Pros and 7 Pro Bowls, a Super Bowl championship, Eagles franchise record holder for consecutive starts. And after missing 14 games in 2012, he only missed 4 the rest of his career. This guy is the epitome of hard work in every single way. He is Philadelphia down to its core. And he put together some of the best memories of my entire life watching the Eagles. And like I said, wearing the fit at the Super Bowl parade, the Mummers Day, and, just going out there and just pure passion. Like, I will have that speech ingrained into my mind. I remember watching it live, literally just like breaking down crying, because he spoke from the heart, man. And that's what he did today. He literally came out there and just told it how it was. And that's what he's always done. And that's why he represents this city down to its core, because he's going to leave it all out there in a memorable way, no matter what he does. And I mean, you kind of knew this was coming for the last game. And I feel like I'll never forgive the Birds for collapsing the way that they did. And he made some quotes about that in his speech, but it sucks the way that they had to go out. He probably felt he had more to give. But seeing him cry after that last game and just sitting out there on the sideline, you knew it was probably coming. And man, it sucks that he is not going to be here. It's hard to envision an Eagles game without Jason Kelce for me personally. Obviously, I'm a little bit younger, but, I remember the days before Jason Kelce, but it just feels like he's been here for eternity. That's how much he has meant to this organization. And what he's been able to accomplish is absolutely incredible. He's, undersized, but he found ways to obviously use that to his advantage in his game. Like, he's not a traditional center when it comes to size or even his hand size or whatever, but he made it work. And I think that's an important lesson for anybody out there in life. Like, you got to figure out a way to make it work. So, Jason Kelce's an absolute first ballot Hall of Famer, as Rob Motti says. He'll have a Canton speech in 2029. And to be honest with you, I would retire his number today if I'm the Eagles. Number 62. Number 62 should never be worn again. Never. It should never be worn again. It belongs to Jason Kelce. And I do presume that eventually he will end up back with the Eagles in like an advisory role or maybe an offensive line coach. And he talked a lot about Jeff Stoutland in this press conference, how much he meant. We all know his tremendous impact. But I would retire his number today. I would give him a statue tomorrow if it was up to me. Jason Kelce, even coming after this speech, which made it so much harder to watch. He constantly breaking down, crying. He literally cried for about 5 minutes before he started talking. You can sense how much this city meant to him in the game. And here's what Jason Kelce said in regards to the Philly special. Again, he talked about so many things. His brother and their relationship growing up, his parents, how he met his wife. He joked about a bar that was opened by Brent Selleck that never had any business and, all these relationships he formed. But talking about the greatest game that I've ever experienced and what he said, like, again, he understands Philly. He knows what represents Philly. And everybody always talks about the Philly special. And he says, quote, "I'll never forget Nick Foles for having the biggest dick on the team, calling the Philly special, and Doug Peterson having the biggest balls to say, yeah, let's do it." Like, I don't expect this guy to go out any other way, man. I don't expect it because you knew he had to leave his final touch. That's what he always does. When he talked in the Super Bowl parade about Howie Roseman being thrown into a dust closet and all these dust bunnies on him and how Chip Kelly stormed him, away from the team and how things were messed up and how every guy was told they were awful and they came back. Like, you just feel it. You just want to run through a damn wall for this guy, man. I didn't think he was going to get through this speech with how much he was crying. Now, Jason Kelce talked about Philly, and this is the most important quote from this press conference. And, he talked a lot about the upcoming team, et cetera, and guys need to step up. It almost felt like he was kind of sending a message in a way. But this message right here should be played during every free agent signing or interview or whatever. A guy wants to come in, maybe play for Philly, because a lot of guys don't get it. We just saw something the other day where it was Darius Slay, Steve Nelson talking about Philly. This quote, this clip should be played for every single athlete. Should be a requirement to play in this city. He says, quote, "Some people struggle to play in the city. They can't handle the booze, the media, or our fans. I consider it a blessing to play in the most passionate sports town in America. If you're not performing, they will let you know. But as long as you show effort, they will love you. They're not going to accept your excuses and your soft ass nonsense." And he also said, if you love Philadelphia, it'll love you. If you go out there and leave it all in the field, despite the result, and you really become accustomed and you ingrain yourself in this culture, they will love you. It's not for everybody, 100%. Some guys are out there to make their paycheck and go home and relax. But if you really buy in and you give it your all, no matter what Philly sport it is, these fans will love you. And I don't think there's any athlete that has ever gotten it more than Jason Kelce. And that's why this is tough. He's a leader room. He's a leader. I can't even talk right now. I'm upset, man. He's a locker room leader. He is a all-time voice in that locker room in this city. He should never pay for a meal again. And he talked about next year, he says, quote, "Sometimes the Flowers get knocked back a bit." Again, talking about the whole Flowers thing with Nick Sirianni. He just gets it. He sees it. He hears it. He understands. But the roots remain. I can't wait to watch it re-blossom next season. Man, this is tough. I mean, I'm trying to think of what else he talked about. There was just so much he went down the line of like the first time he saw a block in practice, the first time Zach Ertz got booed. One thing I really enjoyed from this presser is when he talked about how after his, I think it was 2016, he said, where he was almost traded and, you know, there were a bunch of rumors and there were people talking about him and things, but he didn't let that get to him, and he believed in himself, and Jeff Stoutland believed in him, and he ended up, you know, making 6 All-Pros after that. So this guy's had one of the best career trajectories ever. I think it's one of the greatest runs ever. I really do. And, you know, to help bring a Super Bowl to a team that never had one, and to go out on top the way that he did, and they almost won another one, and just his impact, like it's just hard to imagine what it's going to be like without him. Last thing I'll say is that, you know, whoever it ends up being, whether it's Juergens or somebody else, man, you got some big shoes to fill. This Eagles team needs an overhaul in some ways, you know, in terms of kind of mentorship and culture, and I hope they can regain that and bounce back next year. But man, they're going to need, you know, to develop the offensive line. They're going to need to continue to build there, which will be no problem, you know, with Howie Roseman, and you know, they'll continue to add talent, but it's just hard to replace what you got out of Jason Kelce for 13 years. Man, I mean, even the way Kelce exited, he shook everybody's hand. A man of class. He's a man of class, and he will be remembered as one of the greatest athletes this city has ever seen. He's an all-timer. He's an all-timer. And Jason, thank you for everything you've done for this organization, the city, the fan base, etc. And I hope you never leave. So that's all I got. Give me your thoughts down below. Tough day, but the Birds will continue. They will go on, and hopefully this team, like Jason said, can re-blossom and get back to where they were a couple years ago. We'll see how it plays out. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hit that like button, subscribe. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.